What is going on, everyone? We are back for another edition of the Bleed Los podcast, Carne Asada. We've got a lot to get into. The Dodgers got swept by the Astros. The All-Star team has been announced, and a memorable night at the Ravine for number 22. All that and more coming up next. Hi again. I am Drea, joined tonight by Anthony, and producer Roger is behind the scenes. This episode is brought to you by DodgersBeat.com. Stay up to date and in the know with all of the latest and the most comprehensive coverage of the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's your one stop for articles, interviews, contests, merch, and more. Never miss a beat and check out DodgersBeat.com. Anthony, what is going on? How are you feeling today?
What's up? Doing good. First time in a while I've been frustrated watching the boys, but
Yes.
we move and we learn. Kind of just put it behind us and let's just pretend none of this happened this weekend. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here today.
And I can pretend, but
Yeah.
might talk about it a little bit. But yeah, we'll try to stick to like kind of what the upside is because yeah, there are a lot of wonderful things that happened in the last week. Like there was two series, but definite highs of highs and lows of lows. And we'll definitely get into the Astros and the Chicago White Sox series. But let's just start off kind of with everyone's just kind of fresh in their head and then we can flush it. We did get swept. I think it was our first sweep since the Angels, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah. And in that we had our worst defeat in stadium history on 4th of July. So not fun. And Christian Walker decided to be Christian Walker against us, and we can't seem to get him off our back. But my question to you is kind of A, what are your thoughts on that series? And did the Astros win or did we just lose due to bad play all weekend? What do you think?
See, I hate to say it, but I think they won.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would agree that second game was more bad play. There were some very like peculiar plays, some boneheaded plays from us. So I feel like we gave that one away, but like the rest of the series, they just kind of just they did whatever they wanted to do with us, basically. They're also in the midst of kind of a hot streak, so we kind of just faced a team that was really hot, and like since we're Dodger fans, we're kind of like on the other end of it because usually when we're hot, like teams kind of just like roll over and like don't put up a fight. But the
Mm,
Astros, yeah, they just came in here and kind of took it to us. The one that was more upsetting was probably the second game. The
yeah.
second game was kind of more upsetting because we fought back. We punched back.
Yes.
We went down early and then we fought back and like we kept that game pretty competitive and like Mookie had that double and like it was getting me hyped. Like all right, we're gonna have like a big inning here and then he went to third and like it just felt like
Mm,
momentum was completely gone. So that was the one where I was more frustrated. The game today as well, I was kind of looking more at to see how Sheehan was gonna do. I kind of left out impressed. And then we kind of like gave it away towards the end of the game. But the second game is where I drew most frustration from compared to the first game where it was kind of over after the third inning.
yeah, I felt like extra bad because this is the Astros, and you just know that
Yeah,
they, will love to just beat us. You got Ben Verlander just going on and on and on about how, the Astros over the Dodgers now, and that's just kind of frustrating because, it will no matter how much time passes and how much people say let's just move on and get over it. I don't think that every one of us as Dodger fans will ever fully get over 2017, and just to see Altuve have such a, I guess you could say, fantastic series for him was a little bit disappointing. But I kind of was just hoping not to be swept, but we did it. We can, take it on the chin. Normally, like you say, we're the ones that are are the ones that are always
yeah,
dominating. So ultimately, it's a series in the summer, and we will move past it. We are still at the top of baseball. And another, I think, positive to take away from this series is that a lot of the pitchers that we did see, minus Shohei, will not be the pitchers that we see coming out in October. Should we face the Astros again or any team again, this is not going to be the starting rotation. So I
yeah,
don't need to worry about that. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but in the midst of all of that, we had a Shohei outing, which I know we'll probably talk in and out about him. But overall, just your impressions on Shohei when he did his 2 innings this week.
yeah.
This week.
Again, I loved what I saw. Part of me was kind of hoping that they would let him out for like one more batter, but I get like kind of like just like let's slow play it. A lot of people are kind of like they just want to let him loose. But again, the smart thing is to kind of let him get built up. I know it's kind of frustrating because he's out there dealing, but
Mm-hmm.
we're playing for October and we're playing for September. So it's more important for him to be fully healthy at that point. Again, we'll see if he's fully built up to 4 or 5 innings, or he just can be like a kind of like a weapon out the bullpen. Like if it's a game 7 and like we just need someone to get us 3 outs, like yo, Shohei, you want to go down there and warm up? So it can be a little bit frustrating, but again, like I get the bigger picture with the front office and what Dave Roberts is saying. Like, hey, like let's kind of like slow your rope, because the last thing we want to do is kind of like push it and then he's hurt and then we lose him for the postseason. So it's
That
better if we're doing this in July and just let him like kind of like 2 innings here and then maybe 40 pitches today, and like we'll see where he's at. Again, like the worst fear is like we lose him now. What do we do, basically?
right. And seeing him steal a base, even though it was perfectly warranted for him to steal a base this past week and do what he does, it's still scary because you have flashbacks on you can't lose Shohei. Like there's no way around this. Like he is such a key piece to the team. But what was my favorite part was seeing him get his 3 strikeouts. It seems to be going better and better and
Yeah,
better each outing that he has. So that was really exciting. But yeah, just definitely frustrating seeing how aggressive the Astros came out. They were like, they're going for it. They were going to hit and their hits were landing. It was all the momentum was on their side. So, that was just the unfortunate part of the weekend. But I wanted your take on if you think Robleski should still be the one who to follow Shohei, because prior to this week it was Kasparius, and then you had made kind of like a really great call last week on the show. Like that should probably be like, hey, let's talk about Robleski being the one that maybe would be the better follower. Do you still think that
yeah.
is the right?
Yeah, I know he got a little bit banged up in his outing, but I still feel like he's still the best call out the bullpen. I wouldn't
Mhm.
want to throw Sheen into that mix just because I want to see him as a starter, and I feel like Robleski is probably more used to coming out the bullpen and taking most of the bulk innings. And like we saw with Kasparius, Dave Roberts already said that he's going to go back to the bullpen. It's probably best for him if they want to extend him to be a starter again. Maybe see what he's at spring training next year. But it feels like that experiment's kind of over with now. So I'm kind of glad that we're getting that arm back into the bullpen, but I still think Robleski's the guy to come out the bullpen and kind of tail behind Shohei.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right move because I mean, Kasparius over his last several outings saw um his ERA balloon to 8.24, and we know that Kasparius is a better pitcher
Yeah,
than what that shows. So I definitely think that yeah, he's at this point the starting role is probably not for him, but look at how dominant he was when he was coming out the bullpen. So definitely want to see them mix it back to that, and I feel like we're going to see some better results this season. But all in all, we can kind of flush this one with the Astros. No, not fun, but I definitely think that we'll be far more ready for them
yeah,
next. Considering also that there's several injuries, we'll definitely talk about those. Won't be in play later on, but let's just talk about the big thing that we were just leading up to last show, and that I think every Dodger fan was looking forward to, and we almost probably didn't see it. I was
yeah,
so afraid that we wouldn't, but Kershaw did get his 3,000th strikeout on the 100 pitch on July 2nd at 8:42 p.m. And the person that got the strikeout was Vinny Capra on an 85-mile-per-hour slider. It was a range of emotions. I was in the stadium, you were watching it, everyone was on pins and needles.
yeah.
I just want you to take me through it that night. What were your thoughts, your biggest takeaways, and just your overall impression on what we saw? Because it was historic.
Yeah, I was with you guys. I was very nervous that he was not going to make it out that first inning because they came out swinging. And like now that I've had a few days to digest it, I've seen other podcasts and other people talking about it. Like it makes sense now why they came out swinging. Do you really want to be the 3,000 strikeout in Kershaw's career? And we saw the
Yes.
poor guy that ended up being the victim here ended up getting DFA'd a few days later. So I really feel bad for him. Like because you had to put yourself in that mindset. You're going to be the clip that they play forever, basically. Yeah, everyone's going to remember who you are, and it's not going to be for a good thing. It's going to be because you got caught looking on a slider, basically. But yeah, the original emotions were very. I hate to say it, but it felt like a playoff game inside at least the household here, because we
Yeah.
knew how much of a big moment it was, and like we saw that he was struggling and laboring, and we're like, oh, like maybe he's like the moment's like getting to him a little bit. And I'm thankful for Michael Conforto. He absolutely robbed that 3-run home run
Thank
because if he doesn't do that, I think Kershaw's leash is very short there. And they might pull him or they might let him finish the inning, and then you just have real conversations about the second inning. So I'm
Oh,
kind of glad he kind of settled into the game and he had that moment, especially it was to end the inning, so you can have that huge eruption. And you saw guys on the field. You saw Kike clapping his hands. Freddie Freeman threw up his hands, kind of similar to how he did when we
the
won the
world's
World Series. And like you saw, it meant a lot to those guys that were behind him, and it meant a lot to Dave Roberts. The best part too, as well, is when they cut away to his like family, and like the evolution of him, where it was just his parents, Ellen, then it was Ellen. I forget who it was for the no hitter. Someone was with her, and then you slowly but surely started getting one kid. Then you got the second one, then you got the third one, and now to
yeah.
where you are. You see the pictures afterwards. Like we really, someone said it best. Like we've seen them grow up essentially. It
Yes.
reminds me a lot of Kobe Bryant, like kind of how we all saw him grow up. We saw him be a kid, a
Right.
teenage kid, cocky kid, to become the man he was, win championships. And Kershaw, not cocky, but cocky in his own way. He felt like he was the best as well too. And we saw him grow up. We saw him mature. We were there with the lows, the very lows that he had in the playoffs, and now we're here at the very, very highs. And now, I hate to say it, I feel like we might be seeing him his last hoorah here. It feels like it, but yeah, I just have like a memory bank of like Kershaw starts, and like he's one of those players. Like if I get recommended a video on YouTube, I'm gonna throw it on. Like I'm gonna watch however long this video is, and I'm gonna enjoy it. So yeah, I was very, very happy that he was able to achieve that here at Dodger Stadium.
Same. I mean, it was like poetic, even though I really wanted it in the first couple of innings. And I thought there was a high probability based on like how he had been pitching prior to that outing. He had been getting just pretty quick, like
Yeah,
strikeouts. Okay, this is going to happen. And every single person was in their seats at the beginning of the game. Nobody was getting up. I mean, and I had a perfect bird's eye view of the whole stadium, and everyone phones out. You could feel the like I think of all the games I've ever been to, the palpable like collective desire for him to all, we wanted this for
yeah,
him. Wanted to celebrate that moment. And you could feel with every pitch, with every, play, we were like living and dying. And everyone had the same, you know, like I guess the outlet, the energy that was just erupted at the 100th pitch. And when you think about it, how could it be more poetic? 100 pitches. It had to happen that
yeah,
way, and the
yeah.
buildup was wonderful. So
Just watching the
I think
game, he got to a lot of two strike counts as well too. So like that's why it just kept building and kept building and building and building. So yeah, he was out. He didn't have his typical normal Kershaw stuff, but he was out there battling. It's just the White Sox were being pests. That's the best way to say it. Again, I don't blame him. Do you really want to be the guy that was the 3,000 strikeout? Like I
no,
remember, it's funny because when they were talking about it in the broadcast, Skip Schumacher, it was his first strikeout, and like he said that when he was finally teammates with Kershaw, he brought it up to him immediately, like you were the first guy I got here in the big leagues, and so stuff like that. So
I mean, it was just a wonderful night. You can see, I think Ned Coletti was there. You had different people from Kershaw's past and his whole family. What really got to me, and I was trying my best to like film it and not tear up, but you see Ellen covering her mouth and crying. And I just feel like it was one of those moments in Dodger like history that yes, we're always going to have that on film. We're always going to be able to go back and see that moment. And I think him being older, you tend to appreciate things even more as you get older because you realize how, rare a moment like this is. And he even mentioned that in his post, in his presser. But yeah, the guys that were trying not to be the third strikeout, you could see that they had an intensity. They came to kind of take that from him, and it's kind of what they got. My friend and I, who we were on the top deck because we wanted to see everything, front center, top deck, and we were looking into the dugout of the Chicago White Sox, and they were just standing like we thought. They're looking like little soldiers, like they were perfectly lined up and totally locked in. You never see it that like they look like so regimented. They were absolutely trying not to be that guy.
yeah,
Um, because look at what happened. We have the World Series footage. We see Walker Bueller's famous like throwing his hands out. And who's the guy? I think he was just DFA'd by the
yeah,
Braves. There you
Verdugo,
go. So yeah, you could tell that was not, they weren't, no one was trying to be that. But at the end of the day, he was going to get it. I just was hoping he wouldn't get it in, Milwaukee. And I think it's just so wonderful that he got to live it there because his two World Series wins were not in Dodger Stadium. They were outside of it. So this is one of those key moments where he got to feel it with the people that have been there the whole time.
Yeah.
So
He said it itself too at the World Series parade that he had been waiting for that moment to kind of celebrate with everyone, and it meant so much to him. And then to add on to that, since we're talking World Series, how do you think Nestor Cortez feels that that Freddie Freeman clip is going to be played for eternity? Basically, one of the best World Series moments of all time, and this is the second pitch that he threw in the World Series, or yeah, second. So.
it's going to happen to someone, but yeah, no one wants to be on loop of that person. But at the end of the day, I mean, Kershaw got that moment. We never get to forget it as Dodger fans, whether you watched it, in the stadium or out of the stadium. I'm sure it just meant something to all of us to be able to experience it because it was really an amazing, amazing game. So, but a part of the game, even though we ended up winning in a walk-off later on, that was part of the game that wasn't so great, and I feel like was the start of a lot of injuries that we're now kind of going to talk about in a little bit was Muncy. Kershaw was able to keep his presence of mind to get that 3,000 strikeout moments after what seemed in the moment a devastating injury to Muncy, which I thought was going to be a lot worse when you watch that footage back. Luckily, it doesn't seem like it's going to keep him out the whole season, but this is something devastating for us because look at how Muncy was in the month of June. So your thoughts on Muncy, the injury, and can the Dodgers hold it down without him? What do you think?
Yeah, we had talked about how he was the guy who kind of stepped up for us for a while. The big three had been kind of struggling. And it's just an absolutely brutal injury. Thankfully, we did dodge a bullet because initially when I saw it, I said, I got a Gavin Lux flashback because I was watching that spring training game when he blew out his knee.
Yes.
And I was like, and I kind of started thinking I hate to say it, but the negatives about it because he's an older player, a knee injury, and if it's an ACL, it's basically entirely your whole year. And now you start thinking about you're older, do you really want to come back, stuff like that. So I'm very glad. 6 weeks is still a long time to miss baseball wise, but thankfully it's not a year, so that's the bright spot. It also sucks for him because he was basically tearing it up in June and July. He had basically turned the corner from that slow start that he had to start the season. And I was actually looking forward to see if he was going to be able to continue that momentum going into September. And now he's going to have to send him down to AAA to kind of rehab and try to get back on fire, try to find your swing, stuff like that. So it's kind of it's a little bit of a pain. And I know it's probably frustrating for him because he saw how he was essentially went from being someone who was very struggling to almost being an all-star again this year. So I hate it for him, absolutely, because he was actually absolutely tearing it up on the plate. But I have a feeling he'll come back strong.
I wanted to see him out there because Muncy, you could tell he's a feeler. He feels the game. He feels his role in it. He knows how valuable that he had been in the month of June to the Dodgers. I think he just really wants to be out there and contribute and really be just kind of he's a veteran to show that leadership role and to be, an example of, hey, if we all get together, just like he did in the World Series, we can do this. And I feel like even though he'll still be there in some capacity, his bat is a huge loss because he was on fire and he did have momentum. And I'm a little bit scared, especially after this past weekend.
I am, yeah.
But my question now is what happens to third base? Because they were talking about Edman, possibly going to be moving over, kind of going to switch that out a little bit. But now we have another situation with Edman where you're going to have to watch him a little close because just a flurry of injuries kind of took over, I guess, in the last 24 hours that we learned about. So what do you think is the best approach for third base?
I feel like the best approach is kind of just by committee. It sucks too that we just learned that Edman's dealing with some stuff as well too. So we have to be extra careful with him. At this point, I kind of like Kike there. Kind of just a steady force. We know what he's going to give us offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like Kim there yet. I probably wouldn't want to throw him there. I'd probably keep him in the middle infield. He's more effective there. I wouldn't want to throw him at third base and he starts making a flurry of errors and it gets into his head. So I'd rather throw someone like Kike there as well as I can't say his name. What's his name? Esturi? Am I saying that correctly? Esturi Reese?
That's a Roger thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not
probably
pronouncing
butchered
it right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
We'll go with
but I want to give him the shot there as well too. Kind of just like by committee. It's gonna have to be by committee unless the front office thinks there's someone out there that we don't think about that might be an option for us via trade or something. But even then, I don't know if that's feasible right now at this point. So for right now, it's gonna have to be by committee. Those three guys kind of taking turns, and whoever's hot at the plate is going to get the bulk of the playing time.
Yeah, and Roberts did say that, it wasn't necessarily Kike's defense that was the issue. It was more like the injury that he's looking at that I guess he's been dealing with for about a month was his elbow, is his arm.
Yeah.
I can get that right. Left elbow injury. And so it's compromising his swing. So that's a little bit scary too, because if we're being honest, I mean, we have, yes, we have young players on the team, but we also have older players, and not everyone heals in the same way, depending on their age and just kind of like, person by person. So it's a little bit, I guess, kind of like took the wind out of my sails when I was hearing about all these injuries, because it's scary. And although we have time before we get to post, we have to kind of make it through the month of July. Luckily, the All-Star break is coming up at the exact right time. So I'm very excited for that, but definitely a little bit concerned about the injuries and kind of what that means for, do our trade pieces then change? Because I know we were talking about possibly needing a starting pitcher before, kind of what you think that, the best move for them to make. I mean, are we now going for a bat off the bench, or do you think that the front office is going to stay kind of like geared more towards starting pitching and bullpen help?
See, I think they might actually go for a bat because Muncy's injury is a bone bruise, and those are kind of tricky. I know the diagnostic says 6 weeks, but it's really kind of like a field thing. So if he's still not feeling good after 6 weeks, then it's kind of like, so where exactly are we? So I feel like they might change their mind on trading for a bat. Initially, I did think they were going to trade for like a reliever. I still do think they're going to trade for a reliever just because Andrew Freeman said multiple times that bullpens keep him up at night. So they'll probably won't trade for a high leverage guy, but probably just for like another guy that can help them eat innings, stuff like that. But names on the third base side that I would see trade for, it would have to be someone where they have multiple years of team control, because I don't think they'll trade for a rental.
No, I don't think so.
Especially like the price for rentals is pretty expensive prospect wise. So and Friedman likes to keep prospects until he feels like they're not going to contribute up here to the major league level. So whoever that guy is has to be someone that has multiple years of control, because now you're looking past Max Muncy. I know I have said, like, I love our guys, but the front office will always prioritize winning, and especially now with an older roster, trying to get younger. So we'll see who that guy is. But if they do trade for someone, I hope it's an infielder, because I think in the outfield we do have problems as well too, with Teoscar kind of like being banged up as well. His defense is kind of not there. Conforto's kind of been picking it up a little bit, still not a lot, but we'll see. I still feel like they're going to trade for a utility guy, probably someone that can play multiple spots.
I think that's fair to assume, because, we kind of know that Andrew Friedman tends to kind of follow certain patterns in terms of what he decides to trade for and not trade for. Sometimes he veers off, like when we got Tanner Scott, he's not known for, getting a expensive, closer, but, he did. So I think if they know that, if they believe that the price is right, the talent is there, and they have, they can use them for an extended amount of time and it really makes sense for the team, they may, veer off what they've done traditionally. But I think for the most part, we can kind of see that there's some pieces there that they probably already have their eye on. Although, again, we're not quite at the place where we can say we know which teams are officially buyers and sellers. But I'm really hoping that we just kind of, in addition to getting our guys back, getting our guys healthy, making those one or two key pieces will be more than fine for October. Because at the end of the day, when you look at what we were a year ago, we were banged up for a good portion of the season. And then it all came back together. So all hope is not lost, but definitely need to make some moves. But overall, this past week, we had just a really good time in the stadium. There was successful promotion nights. They had the One Piece night that we had been talking about.
Yeah.
I think a Hollow Live night that was really kind of fun. There's some really great things that you can see on video that they were putting together for the crowd, and you can see that we had another number of sellout nights. So all good things at the stadium. But they did add, just to kind of put a bow on the Kershaw outing, they did add a bobblehead. And we know we're talking
Yeah, I
bobblehead,
saw it.
right? And I had a feeling that's why they were holding out. But on September 20th, we're going to have the 3,000 strikeout Clayton Kershaw bobblehead. So take a look at that day if that's something that you want to get, because obviously that's one of the historic bobbleheads that people will definitely want to be there for, because I think that was something they were waiting to announce. So that'll be a really fun one to get. So yeah, really good stuff on that night overall for Kershaw, but definitely prayers for out for Muncy and that we get our other players back that are injured sooner than later. But just some other kind of news as we gear more toward just the pitching end of some of the players we haven't talked about. What did you think of just Sheehan? I mean, he came back. He had done pretty well over in when he was kind of, getting his outings over at AAA. And I think he looked really good today.
He looked really good today, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm still impressed because he came back from Tommy John, and like it feels like he rehabbed really fast and he got his back up to the big league level pretty fast. He's someone that I've always thought would kind of step into the rotation. I know we're kind of log jammed and it's kind of hard for him, but with all the injuries and stuff, it's someone that he can take advantage of this moment and kind of make a case of like, well, hey, I can be that fifth guy if you need me, stuff like that. So I've come impressed with his stuff, and plus he has that attitude on the mound where he's like, I'm better than you, and like I'm gonna get you out, which I love in young pitchers because at the big league level, it's kind of hard to get outs, as we've seen. Kershaw being a veteran, he struggled against the White Sox and stuff like that. So these young guys kind of have to have that attitude of like, yeah, I belong here. There's a reason why I'm pitching for the Dodgers today because I belong here. So especially with young players, so I feel like it's always good to have that attitude. You don't want to go over the top and be too cocky and stuff like that, but you just got to have that confidence in yourself to like know that, yeah, I belong at the major league level. I can get you guys out. So I'm kind of excited to see how he develops the rest of the year, whether he's going to earn himself a spot in the rotation full time, or he's just kind of like using this year as a, like kind of like, all right, let's see what you have this year stuff.
I think that's a really good way to analyze Emmett Sheehan, because he is definitely he's got that swag about him when he's there, and he doesn't feel afraid of the moment. And I was just very excited to get him back, and thinking to myself, will he be the Emmett Sheehan we remember? And it certainly is like showing some very positive signs that he could be a big piece for us in the coming months. And then we had something kind of cool with Dustin May. I know we were kind of like going. Is he, possible trade piece later on? And he did earn himself probably a little more time. We'll see. But he had, I think, one of his best outings, if not his best outing this season. In fact, it was kind of looking there for a little bit, knock on wood, that he was going to get his, a no-hitter and maybe even a complete game shutout. His inning count was low, and he seemed to be dealing. But lo and behold, it didn't last the whole entire game. But your thoughts on May's outing? Because I think he was looking good too.
Yeah, knock on wood. I thought it was going to be a perfecto. It was looking like it for a while. Just like a lazy ground ball through the right-hand side. It made its way through to a single. Dustin May, like I've said it before, I just don't want to give up on him because the talent is there. We see like the effectiveness of his pitches is there. And even if it doesn't work out as a starting pitcher, maybe he's a bullpen guy. We just never know. I don't want to give up on him because it's kind of harsh to say, yeah, the injury stuff is very real. But one of them was a freak accident. The guy was eating salad and he's lucky he's alive, apparently. Yeah. So this is someone where I came into the year thinking like, all right, let's see what you got. If you can still like be effective. I didn't have like, oh, he's going to be competing for like a Cy Young or for like an ERA title and stuff like that. I just wanted to see if he can still get guys out at the big league level and still be effective with his pitches, and he does. The unfortunate part is that he's been kind of inconsistent. So I don't know where he goes long term, whether it's a guy out the bullpen in the playoffs, or whether it's just if he does keep the momentum that he has now and just he earns a spot as a starter. So we'll see where he's at. So I kind of was using this year for him kind of more like all right, let's get acclimated back into the big leagues, because missing 2 years is a very, very long time. For like one was blowing out his elbow and the other one was a freak accident. So I hate to like cast judgment on him for a freak accident at that point, but I've been very impressed at his last start, and I hope he does keep the momentum going.
Me too. I think could tell how disappointed he wasn't himself, but he has nothing to be ashamed of himself. That was an incredible outing. And I think like the time that we finally saw another pitcher besides Kershaw and Yamamoto go 7+ innings. And that was amazing to see because if nothing, length is going to help us and we will never say no to length. Because we got to preserve the bullpen as much as possible. And I feel like we're going to still be getting some key bullpen pieces back in time. But I also want to make sure that we have, no more pitching injuries. Everyone's being used to their max effectiveness while also staying healthy. So he definitely proved that he can do that. And so I want to see obviously more of a sample size. Consistency is key. But yeah, definitely was very happy with watching May pitch. And I just wanted to see it keep going, but he did a very good job. So shout out to Dustin May because that was awesome. And even though this is kind of like, I know we talked a little bit about Shohei pitching already, he did a really good job. We know he probably is going to get built up, but kind of a little bit on the flip side of that, his hitting hasn't been very good.
Yeah.
In the time that he's been pitching. And even though he has still record numbers, which I'll bring up in a little bit, he hasn't had a really good record of having success at the plate while he's been a pitcher. So now I think we have a little more of a sample size. What do you think? Is the pitching affecting his hitting?
I want to say it is. I know Shohei's going to be stuck in his ways, but I think it might be time to kind of especially on days that he does start, maybe just slide him down one spot.
Maybe
one spot doesn't hurt. It gives him some time to kind of breathe, catch his breath a little bit. Because it's still the transition is still crazy to me because he's out there exerting so much energy pitching. And then right away, because they have the timer out there, he kind of has to be ready kind of immediately. So he can be up there and so I feel like it might be time to have that conversation hey, how about you slide down one on days you do start. But then again, if we're having this conversation now and then in a week or two he goes off and on a day that he does pitch and he hits 2 home runs, then what are we doing here? Basically, it's kind of just we're playing a back and forth here. But I do personally feel maybe just slide him down one, give him a little time to breathe, catch his breath, instead of kind of just sending him out there. But he's been missing some real cookies there.
I know it's and that Shohei probably has the highest of expectations for himself, but I feel something is just needs just a little fine tuning. It doesn't have to be a major change and kind of see how that rolls because it's such a hard thing to do to be a starting pitcher and a leadoff batter. I can't even imagine what that's like. Just watching it, I'm exhausted for him and I'm just how does he do it? But yeah, I definitely think that it's time to start thinking about a tweak. Obviously, they may be already starting to think about that, but Shohei is going to have say in that. So they're probably listening to him and how he feels. So maybe a few more outings and we'll see how that goes. But I definitely think that there has to be a slight tweak. Now, we did see some good stuff from Mookie and Freddie. We saw that they're definitely showing life because if we're not going to have Muncy, we definitely need to have them performing at the plate. And it's still there. We may not, see, perennial MVP, Mookie Betts, but he's still doing fantastic at shortstop. If we're not really talking about very many errors or problems with short, he's fine there. Yeah, we're seeing he had his home run and he's definitely hitting, but we just want to see that more consistently, obviously, as we get past All-Star break and getting ready for post. So that's going to be interesting, but just some fun things as we wrap up the pitching conversation. We are going to see, looks like Glass now very soon, sooner than I expected. So they're planning to bring him back soon. I'm hoping that bodes well for him because I know he's kind of emotional too. And I want to see him kind of lock in and, show us how great he is because when he's good, when he's on, he's on. So hopefully we see that later this week. I'm not exactly sure of the day that he'll come back, but they said that he's going to be coming back this week. And some other good stuff with Treinen and Snell, the Blakes. Treinen will be doing a rehab assignment in OKC, and Blake Snell looks like he'll be at Rancho. So that'll also be this week. So we'll kind of keep our fingers crossed that they, hit that level that they're going to be doing their max damage against other teams, and we can see some great stuff because ultimate rotation in your mind would be what if we could see in post?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pretend I'm in the playoffs. Game one, I would give it to Yoshinobu. Yeah, he's as we'll mention it. He's earned an all-star spot. He's been our dog basically.
Yes.
Number two, in a perfect world. In a perfect world, I'd probably do Blake Snell. Just because I like that righty lefty, kind of give him a two views.
Mm,
And then game three, I would give to Glass now. This is assuming that everyone is healthy
healthy.
and we're all rolling. Yeah, game three, Glass now.
Okay.
Game four, what's a game four if we sweep them in three? But game four, I'd probably give to Kersh and the bullpen. See how long Kersh has, and then we'll go with the bullpen from there.
Okay.
It's hard because if
Or is
assuming everyone's healthy, that means I'm leaving Roki off the rotation, and
mm-hmm.
I completely forgot about Shohei too.
Yeah,
But
or
I don't.
Shohei.
Yeah, but if everyone's healthy, that's assuming that he's built up to like his like 5-6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
It's man, I see. This is why I couldn't be a manager because I just like way too much to like
Me too.
because I kind of like Shohei as a weapon out the bullpen. If he's not built up and like if we have to get like 3 outs, I like that. But if he's
Yeah.
rolling like this, it's because we live in like in such a fantasy world. We haven't seen a bad Shohei start. So like we
Right.
haven't seen him where he gets roughed up. We've seen like only the positive right now. So like I hate to say it, I want to see like how he deals with adversity a little bit. Like if he gives up a run or two and like the outing doesn't go as well as we all think it's gonna do. So I kind of want to see that. But damn, I
Hmm.
don't envy Dave Roberts. This is hard. I like
So
this is
hard.
very
Like
hard. Yeah. Because now
I
I
go
feel
to
like I'm leading guys off and like I'm hurting feelings and stuff like that. But like,
sorry. Yeah, I
yeah,
couldn't. I
no,
think
there's no
it's
way.
easy for like us after the fact to say like, well, I would have done this, and hindsight is 2020. Like you can, it's like, oh well, yeah, it makes sense after you saw how it turned out,
Yeah,
but you don't know how it's going to be. Baseball is a game of inches, and baseball, like I think I kind of posted on my Instagram recently. Derek Jeter used to say, baseball will humble you. You could do everything perfect, and it doesn't mean it's going to come out perfect. And you can't always play, the analytical matchup. Sometimes you just have to feel it, and sometimes you get it, and sometimes you don't. And the fact that Roberts is like, the most winningest manager that we have seen in,
yeah,
some time is amazing because he clearly has a feel for the game in addition to having a feel for the analytics. And that is something that I know I couldn't do. But I'm mostly with you on that. I would love to see Shohei out of the bullpen if Shohei would be willing to come out of the bullpen, and May out of the bullpen would be awesome because if everyone's healthy, we're going to have a surplus.
yeah.
And
I started doing the math in my head. Like, damn, we got like 8 starting pitchers. Like, wait a second here. Like, yeah. At that point, I'm just rolling whoever's hot in September, leading up to that, basically.
do we ever really have a surplus? I mean,
Yeah, it feels like we don't, but sometimes we do. But like in the scenario you gave me, everyone's healthy. I'm like, whoa, I got like 8 starting pitchers. Like, what am I gonna do? And you're like, all right, you get 2 innings, you get 2 innings, you get 2 innings, and like, let's just roll.
Oh gosh. And then all of our MV3s are all hitting, and yeah, we're unbeatable and all our weapons are back. But we'll see. I don't even, like we talked about last episode, we don't need all of the pieces to perform at 100% every single game to win, but we also can't have, the bullpen, the starting pitching and the offense all, dead on the same night. We can't win like that either. So I really do think we're going to see an incredible second half after the All-Star break. It's coming, it's right on our tail. But I also, yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I'm not concerned about the injuries. It seems like, we live in injury world in Dodger land, but for whatever it's worth, the front office and the organization, they know how to handle it and they know how to bring our pieces back. So wishing everyone luck there. And just overall, I think we'll be fine. But I did want to also get your takes. We haven't even brought him up, and he's one of my favorite players. And I think I get emotional because now I'm just like, he's just want to hug him when I see him. If I ever meet him, I probably will totally fangirl. But Hae-Sun Kim, they called him the human highlight reel on the broadcast
Yeah,
today. And yeah, maybe not hitting as much at every single game as we would like. But what do you think of his defense? Is he not the most like, wow, out there with some of those plays?
yeah. I call him the smooth operator. He's very smooth out there. He
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of I forget who it reminds me of, but he's very smooth. He's very calm, collective, but he also has this like great personality. that you see like in clips that like aren't showed on the broadcast. Like a lot of that's why I love a lot about Japanese fans and Korean fans, because they'll like post clips and stuff, and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool. Like I didn't see that.
I love
So
that.
he does have like this personality that I think is going to be showcased more as he gets more comfortable with the fan base here. You're starting to see little like tidbits of it, and like the guys in the clubhouse like absolutely love him too. So
Yes.
it says a lot when like you're essentially this is his rookie year, and like they're treating you like a vet, basically like someone part of the clubhouse. So I feel like it's just like the beginning for him, basically. Like this is like the ground floor is here, and like we're just gonna only go up from here.
I think so. I just love his personality. It kind of shines through when you see those clips on social media, because I do follow Japanese, and I do follow international media with the Dodgers, and they do have just things that if you don't already do it, definitely do it, because you see things that you don't normally see on
Yeah,
just like the domestic side. So I love to watch that. I love to watch their footage that they show little things that they're doing inside in the dugout, and I just like it's just he's adorable, and it seems like
yeah,
everyone just fawns over him. He definitely is everyone's little brother, and I think you could just tell he's so excited, so happy to be a Dodger, and it really shines through. So I'm really kind of just excited for the second half,
yeah.
and as he's growing and maturing as a Dodger, what we're going to see from him. So yay for getting Hae-Sung Kim, because I was telling my friend at the stadium, like she's like, "Who's your favorite player?" It changes every week, and I'm like, "Well, this week is Hae-Sung Kim, and it might be here for a while because I just love to watch him. He just brings a smile to my face when he is in the lineup. So, and I get to see him play. So, loving him a lot. And we have a lot of apparently a lot of Dodgers that a lot of people loved, because we got to do our follow up on the All Star voting, because we got
Yeah.
some updates and news and really cool things. We didn't get a full 8 players on, but we probably never were going to have that to begin with. But some good stuff. We have Freddie Freeman is going to be the starter at first base. It is his 9th All Star nod, with 5 straight in a row before as a Dodger. So super great for Freddie. And what I love is Will Smith is our catcher, starting catcher All Star. He's been an All Star 3 times, but this is his first time as a starter. So really great there. Obviously, Shohei, even though Shohei's had a little bit of a slow last few games, he is going to be our designated hitter in the All Star game. And really cool just stat about him. He's got his 30 home runs. You don't know if you saw
Yeah.
that home run with that incredible launch angle that shouldn't even exist in physics, and always doing something that is amazing. But it's his 5th consecutive season with 30 plus home runs, 10 plus stolen bases, and 5 triples. And no one else has done that in MLB history in more than 3 consecutive seasons. So again, Shohei showing why he is a unicorn and just amazing at all the things he does. And I know that after, this series, we flesh it, Shohei will probably give us an amazing week and some more stuff that we get to talk about. Some snubs though, and I want to talk about these. Andy Pajes did not.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
And I feel bad, and obviously we didn't, and is not in on this one. So your thoughts on Pajes and Mookie not being starting?
I'll start with Mookie first. That one was kind of more understandable because he's really had a kind of pedestrian year compared to his standards prior years. So
Okay.
that one doesn't really hurt as much. He'll have plenty of other All-Star appearances when it's said and done. The Pajes one, that's
Mhm.
the one where it kind of like gets me a little bit upset. Not upset to like where I'm like I'm not gonna watch the game. I'm gonna throw a tantrum and like start tweeting crazy and stuff like that. But just because the uncertainty, like it's so hard to make an All-Star game, especially in the outfield. You're going up against a lot of dudes out there, and he is having a career year, and I felt
Mhm.
like he did enough to kind of earn that nod. But again, I'm not one of the voters as well too, but I'm kind of hoping he kind of gets like snuck in there, like there's a replacement, like someone doesn't want to go, and like
Could
he
be.
kind of like one of the guys that gets called up. So we'll
Mhm.
see. That's the one where I'm really bummed because it's again an All-Star game. You're with the elite of the elite. You don't know how you're gonna do the rest of your career, if you're gonna ever have another All-Star appearance or stuff like that. Some guys just are lucky to go enough once, so that's the one where I'm bummed.
I'm bummed too, and I think that there's a part of me that hasn't quite given up that he will be there.
Yeah,
And I was thinking possibly maybe Corbin Carroll.
yeah,
Uh,
he's dealing with an injury, and I don't know if Arizona wants to like risk him going out there.
So yeah, that's a possibility because I really do think Andy Pages, just numbers they show he is really showing out this year, and I really feel like it's a deserved nod. They also during today's game there was a broadcast for the announcers of the starting or the pitchers for the entire All Star game, and it looks like we're going to have two pitchers represented as Dodgers, and that's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's going to be an All Star, and this was a fun one because I hadn't really thought about this type of nod, but it's a special one. Clayton Kershaw is going to be in the
Yeah.
pitcher All Star, and I believe Ron Manfred. It's called a legend pick.
Yeah.
Uh, Commissioner. So that's kind of cool because that has only been done with Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera in 2022. So your thoughts on our pitchers that are going to be All Stars?
Yeah, I'm happy for Yoshi. He's had an amazing year up to this point, and he really deserves it. Whether he starts, different question. The whole starter argument,
Mm,
it's all cool and dandy, but like, if it's gonna throw him off his regular rest, I really don't want it to. He can go there, take pictures, kiss babies, take like enjoy the moment. But like, if he's gonna throw off his like routine and stuff like that for like an inning, like I really don't like it. I loved it when it was here at Dodger Stadium and like Kershaw got his moment, but it's gonna be in Atlanta. Like just let Paul Skeens kind of like take the first inning and like
right.
it's up at the end of the day. It's up to Yoshi. If he goes up to him, they ask him like, "Hey, you want to throw?" And he says no, then they have to respect it. And if he
Mhm.
says yeah, then I'll be sitting there rooting for his inning of work.
Yeah.
And with the Kershaw one, again we kind of alluded to it, but when the commissioner kind of picks you as the legacy pick, it kind of like leads
Mhm.
me to think the first thing that I thought of like, oh, maybe like the commissioner knows something that we don't. That's
Right.
the first immediate thought that came to my mind because a legacy
Yes.
pink kind of means like yeah, like this might be it. Like he's probably having like very strong considerations about like this being my last hoorah because
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but yeah, it's kind of been like they've been like I don't want to say teasing it, but like it kind of have like the way they've been talking about it and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like I don't think Kirsch is the guy that goes like on a farewell tour. I think he kind of just like enjoys the moment. He's gonna try to win one more, and like
Mhm.
what a better way than go out and going out on top of a parade float going downtown
Mhm.
Los Angeles. So I hate to say it, but that's initially the first thing I saw when I got that notification when I saw Commissioner's
Legacy.
pick legacy. I was like, oh, are they like teasing something here? Like, but I haven't heard anything or read anything else. But that was the initial feeling I got when I saw that tweet. So
I think it's fair to think that that could be a very real possibility. So Dodger fans may really have to prepare themselves for it. And the fact that he got his 3,000 strikeout this past week, I mean, there's kind of very little left to do in terms of individual accolades. Obviously, he wants to win the World Series and contribute. I think that's key this year.
yeah,
If he's going to kind of make that final decision with his family, if this is going to be the last year. But I think that he wants it, but he doesn't ever want things for just himself. He's not like a me kind of person. I think that he
no,
just
yeah,
he contributes to the team. But I have a very, it's like that little thing is like kind of going in my head, like this could be the end, and he could,
yeah,
and announce that at the end of the season, and we'll love him and we'll remember him. But yeah, this could be the one. But what I love about all the stats that they were posting this week that I hadn't really fully absorbed until people start posting, when he was the video you talked about of him looking like a baby face, fresh face, young.
yeah,
All that great footage came out this week, kind of encapsulate his entire career. And he has an ERA, the best in baseball, career first place ERA of 2.52 among starting pitchers who pitched at least 2,000 innings pitched since the year 2000. He's number one.
yeah,
What I love about that too is Yamamoto has a 2.51 ERA on the season. And it's kind of like you see those parallels of like we're maybe losing an ace if that, but look what we have and what we're getting, and look at the legacy he's leaving behind. Because he's mentoring them. Yamamoto and all these pitchers are watching Kershaw and learning from Kershaw. So do you feel like there's kind of like this metaphorical passing of the torch that's going on right now?
See, yeah, I think it's going on now because I know the thought process was that Walker Bueller was going to pick up that torch, and
Yeah.
you saw the
Mhm.
relationship the two of them developed.
Yeah.
But I think at that point, Kershaw still had a lot left in the tank compared to what he has now.
Mhm.
So there is like this metaphoric like passing of the torch, like kind of like he's the last of a generation of Dodger players that I grew up watching. He's the
Yeah.
last guy because when I think of Kershaw, I think of Matt Kemp, I think of Andre Ethier, I think
Yeah.
of Russell Martin, I think of
Mhm.
James Loney, guys like that I grew up watching, and like he's the last guy standing basically. It's funny because he played with a bunch of those guys again. He played with Matt Kemp again. He played with Russell Martin again. I didn't think that was ever going to happen. So I think it is more of like a symbolic kind of like passing of the torch. I
Yeah.
do feel like he's going to try to go out there and like give us like one more moment in October, and like it might not be like go out there and just give us like 8 strong. It might just be like, hey, can you get us a few outs here? And like,
Yeah.
and if he
Yeah.
goes out there and he does it, like, are we really going to complain? We're going to be like, yeah, there he is. Like, he still got it, basically. So it's
Mhm.
kind of just more like a symbolic kind of passing of the torch thing. I don't think it'll be like, oh, like at the very end of the season, it's like, oh, yeah, like I am anointing Yoshinobu Yamamoto as the next ace. I think it's more of like a symbolic thing. He's like,
Right.
I think he sees that the rotation going forward and with the young guys that we got down, there's like the Dodgers are in a good spot here. So it's not like before where it was kind of like bleak, like stuff like that now. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think he feel comfortable with that too, because I think that he's had his moments and like being in the full spotlight, but I think he has acknowledged very well that there is a new generation of Dodgers coming up, and while he's a big part of that right now, he is leaving behind his expertise, his example, his work ethic. I think we were talking about that last episode. They're learning from him. And I think that when all is said and done, Kershaw's going to feel like he did everything in his power to be the best Dodger he could and represent us as well as he could. And it's just, there's no other way to put it. He's a legend.
yeah,
And so excited to see what he becomes even after it, because it's not going to be the end of Kershaw. He may not be pitching, but there's still going to be, I think, a connection to the organization for years and years to come in some capacity. I just feel that we're not done seeing Kershaw. He obviously has 5 kids to raise because one's on the way, but we're going to obviously see his statue. I don't know how we're going to see him, maybe make some guest appearances in the booth or just do something. I don't know, but I have a feeling Kershaw is going to always be connected to the Dodgers in some way. So
yeah,
I'll just adore him. But yeah, so that kind of, because looking overall like that's what our all-star team is going to look like. I think there's one change this year. They're going to be wearing their regular uniforms.
yes, which I love.
Yeah,
Thank you.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Do you think that's the right move?
man, I hated those like alternate like uniforms because it like takes away from the All Star game. Like I want to see like what it looks like if a Padre player is in. I use Machado for example. I don't know why he came to mind. Playing third base and like if Mookie had made it playing a Dodger playing shortstop, I want to see that dynamic. I think it looks better on pictures when you're like looking at pictures of the All Star game. Everyone's wearing their clean unis and stuff like that. This whole
Yeah,
alternate like jersey nonsense. It was like I hated it, and in reality, all it was just to make money, basically, because people were going to buy the All Star jersey, and
huh?
they still use them now
Right,
for like the home run derby, and that's about it, or for
right.
like practice beforehand. But I'm glad we're going back to like our clean uniforms. I want to see Shohei Ohtani as a Dodger All Star in a Dodger uniform, stuff
Right.
like that. So
It's classic, kind
yeah,
of, it makes you have that nostalgia of what it used to be like, and I like that they're returning to that too. There's still gonna be the jerseys that you can purchase that are, for the NL and AL side, but the guys will not be wearing it. They'll be wearing their actual, team uniform, so that's kind of awesome. So we're gonna be seeing that coming up very soon, in I think it's July 11th through the 15th. We're going
yeah,
to see Derby, we're gonna see a futures game, we're gonna see all this great stuff, and then we'll be able to talk all about that, right after, they return from the All-Star break, and that'll be fun to kind of see what happened there. But there's some good stuff, fun things that are kind of to round out our show that are happening in Dodger land. And you brought this to my attention. There was a really cute, I guess, Dodger dad daughter dance. Tell us about
yeah.
that.
So I was on social media earlier, getting ready for the game. I was getting ready to watch, and I saw Kike posted on his Instagram that they had a daughter daddy dance. Kind of, it looks like the clubhouse of the
Yeah,
Dodgers, and I love it because like for the most part, like we know we talk about professional athletes, but again, these are guys that have families, they have
yeah,
kids, and the kids are the ones that suffer a lot because their dads are gone for so long throughout the season.
Yeah.
Just use the Dodgers for example. I think they started spring training in February, and if it goes the way that we hope it does, it's not going to end till like the end of October. So that's essentially like the whole year. Basically, they're gone.
Mhm.
And I know they do have them for the holidays, but you're missing birthdays, you're missing school time, you're missing plays and stuff like that. So that's why I also think like Kershaw is kind of like reaching the end because he does have one more on the way. And like, how much more time do you want to be apart or separated from your family? I know the season's played during the summertime, so like they're on vacation and stuff like that. But eventually, they do have to go back to school and stuff like that, and you're missing out on like on key moments and stuff like that. And that's stuff like that kids will always remember. Like, oh hey, like I had this play in like the third grade, and like I looked to the crowd, and my dad wasn't there, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So this is why I kind of like the idea of like kind of having these moments for them throughout the season, kind of like a little like special moment between like dads and their daughters, and like because father daughter dances are like very common during the school year, but if these guys are playing here and like your daughter's at school and doesn't have someone to dance with, it's like it's kind of helps build for that. But yeah, I do love that the Dodgers prioritize family first. It's kind of like you guys
Right.
are family. Like we saw last year with Freddie Freeman, they told him like, don't even worry about us. Like go handle your family and like
Yeah.
however much time you need, we'll be here waiting for you. And like we got your back. Don't worry about it. So it's always important to prioritize like family first.
I like that you said that because I think that that's something I've heard in different interviews with the front office and different people who and the players themselves who have acknowledged why they chose to sign and why they love playing for the Dodgers so much is because there is a family priority. They make sure to let the guys know that the wives and the kids and their family members are always going to be taken care of. And this is just an example of that. My dad, even though it's not near the height of what the Dodgers is. My dad is a musician. He was gone for a long time, being on tour throughout my entire schooling years. But he was able to make my father-daughter dance my 11th grade year.
Yeah.
And I remember, I still think about that he was, luckily in town that time, and I was able to have that, and it was just a blast because you don't remember every single thing about high school, you don't remember every single thing about school, but there are things you do remember. And watching that, I even thought of Kobe because even though the Dodgers have like sons and daughters, there's a lot of kids on the a lot of kids of Dodger players that are girls, and
Yeah.
so you see that they are like they obviously thought about that. They knew that. And not that they will never do anything for the boys. I'm sure that they do. And that's a special moment for like the fathers and the sons. But the daughter dance is so cute. I did get to see that one picture with Kike. And I know that there's a lot of other images that you can check out on their socials. But I thought that was a really great idea. So yeah, shout out to the Dodgers for making family a priority because they're all people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I love that too. And there's something else kind of off the little bit of the topic, but Dodgers are having I guess this is the first time, maybe unless you've heard of they've done this before, but a peanut allergy friendly night on
Yeah. I
July.
saw that. Yeah.
You saw that? Your thoughts on that? It's kind of cute.
I love that it's being inclusive to people. I never really thought about it like if I'm eating peanuts at the game and like I'm sitting next to someone that has an allergy. I just never crossed my mind. But
Neither.
yeah, so like if you're going to that game, I guess eat your peanuts out in the parking lot because you ain't gonna get a peanut at the game. But yeah, I kind of like it. Maybe like it expands out and like people with gluten allergies are gonna be included. Like this Dodger game specifically, gluten free stuff like that. So we'll see if it works there. I think
Yeah.
it might be a hit. I'm not sure, but I think it might be a hit.
I mean, the population is such that there are people with peanut allergies, and they probably have to watch, things that I guess everyone else takes for granted that they have to, think about. Like they cannot, they watch everyone around them eat peanuts, but that's something that's very serious for them and their health and their well-being. So I think that it's awesome that the Dodgers thought, a little bit outside the box and thought, hey, how would they feel? This would be a cool thing we could do for
Yeah.
them. Just another way to endear themselves to the fan base and people that may not have gone to a Dodger game or thought I can't, don't want to be around that. And who knows, or because, I watch it on TV, but maybe they'll go to their first Dodger game or they'll just be even more like, enamored with the team for thinking of them on that. So shout out to the Dodgers for being inclusive because that's really cool. But as we kind of gear up to round out the show, we're going to have two upcoming series before the All-Star break, things that I definitely want to touch on. They're obviously traveling now. They're going to go play the Milwaukee Brewers and the Giants game, of which you're going to be at. So
I'll be
I
at.
want to just get your overall take. How are we going to do? And what are you looking forward to seeing at the Giants Oracle Park?
So I think it's going to be two tough series. Like I have said before,
Yeah.
division series are always going to be division series. They're always going to be tough, regardless of record and stuff like that. Especially going up to the Bay Area, a lot of different elements. The
Yeah.
wind, Pelicans, Seagulls, etc., etc. But starting with Milwaukee, now that we got swept by Houston, I want to see how they bounce back. It's a very big, like, kind of like right before the All-Star break. Do we want to end it like on a bad like note? So I really hope we go out there and we take 2 of 1 or 2 of 3, and the same likewise with San Francisco. Because the last thing I would hate to do is that we come back here and we're like, well, they dropped 3 in Milwaukee and only won 1 in San Francisco. So I do hope it was just kind of just a blip. Like baseball, it happens. You'll get swept eventually. Everyone gets swept eventually. So I'm hoping it was kind of just like it happened and like let's just move forward and stuff like that. But I also hope they don't just like see the All-Star break and kind of be like, like let's kind of just turn it off here and like try to get healthy. But things I'm looking forward to in San Francisco. The first time at the stadium, I've only seen it from outside, so I'm looking forward to, I guess, the atmosphere. I know Pantone is going to be down there as well too, so
They are.
it's going to be a sea of blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it's a sea of blue. I'm also looking forward. I'm going to call my shot. I hope Shohei hits one into the Bay. That's gonna be my shot. Yeah.
Good.
If he does, then yeah, it'll be a great trip, successful trip. That's gonna be my shot call that he hits one into the Bay.
I love
But yeah,
it.
that
So
would
like,
probably like complete my trip. I know my mom's gonna see this because we're going up for her birthday. I love you too, Mom. But if Shohei were to hit one into the Bay, that would probably make my trip. But yeah, we'll see. She's actually devastated because she's a Muncie fan, and the injury like hit her hard. But I rest assured he'll be back. But yeah, that's actually like the peak if like Shohei hits one into the Bay. Or yeah, that's probably what I'm most looking forward to.
well, yeah. So they say hi to your mom as well. My mom is actually, we share this in common. Muncie is her favorite player too. She was born
Yeah,
on the 13th, and she just loves Max Muncie. So definitely, we have moms who love Max, and I always love watching him take at bats at Oracle because he seems to be the giant killer. But that's not going to happen this round.
yeah.
So let Shohei take that. But can you imagine that ball? I told you before I had met that McCovey Cove Dave, the one who was on the kayak, and he got that ball. You imagine what that ball would be worth to hit into that bay, and who's going to grab it, and how cool would that be? So fun times. I know that not everyone loves that stadium due to like weather, like you brought up, and just different
Yeah.
things, elements there. But I do feel like we have a really good shot if we lock in to just say, hey, you know what, don't rest on your laurels, because even though we had, I think it was up to a 9-game lead, that can go.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean we're going to keep that. As of filming this episode at the top of the show, it looks like the Padres and the Giants were winning their games that they're playing. So we're going to be fine. We're still at the top of the division. We're still at the top of baseball, but we are definitely, not guaranteed anything as they go into the next half of the season. So we definitely want to keep it going, keep it strong. But as far as me, unless you have anything to add, that is going to wrap up my notes.
No, I'm good on my side. Like we said, I'm excited to San Francisco. So hopefully we come back with a sweep. Well, I come back on a sweep, so we'll see.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear all about your trip. So you're going to probably kind of lead off the show with all the amazing things that you
Yeah.
saw, that you're about to experience. So yeah, have fun and have a safe trip, Anthony. And
Okay.
we'll be looking forward
Yeah, I'm starting my All-Star break early.
to All-Star break
Yeah.
early. But yes, so definitely that's going to do it for us. Check out DodgersBeat.com for all the latest like post game, all the great articles, interviews, you name it, it's all there for you to keep up with all the latest Dodger news. Again, don't forget to check out our handles. You can find me on X and Instagram at Ravine Queen 1958. You can find Anthony at Anthony Acosta _ on X, and you can find Roger at Los Royers on X. And until next round, go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.